Welcome. My name is Penelope Chatterton. Welcome to Awaken the Dream. My friends, I have an old friend back. His name is James Twyman. He was the Peace Troubadour then, and he still is. And it's just fun to see him. He looks the same. We won't say how many years.
We won't. It's been a long
while. Time. Mm-hmm. But James is here. And what have you been doing the last 18 years?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was here when I wrote my first book, Emissary of Light.
Yeah, that's right.
That was probably 18 or 19 years ago, and I'm just thrilled to be back.
Yeah. We've been waiting for you.
Well, I'm so honored to be here, Penelope. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. So you are here to tell us about the Course in Miracles revival, which is coming up, and what you're doing with your music.
Right.
So you guide us as to where do we start?
Well, I'll begin by saying that my foundation spiritually is A Course in Miracles and has been for well over 20 years. And as I began writing books and making movies and many other things, that was always really the foundation of everything I did. But then I would say in the last 6 months or so, I've realized my own need to revive and to reinvigorate my connection with the Course. Because for me, I mean, the Course in Miracles is such a tremendous gift to humanity. And I began thinking about, say, the first century, when there were these people who had been with Jesus and had learned from him, and they went through so much. And then when he was crucified, they went from, on one day, being the most frightened people in the world to being the most empowered people in the world overnight. And so empowered that they literally gave their lives to share this message of love. And that fire that they had, I began to think, this is the fire that we should have, or that we could have, in our relationship with the Course in Miracles. And yet so many people, they read the Course and they try to understand it, they try to interpret it, and really in doing so you miss the boat. Because the teaching of A Course in Miracles, just like the teaching of Joel Goldsmith or any other teaching of truth, is about embodiment. It's about the embracing of the frequency of awakening. And so that's when I decided that first I need to do this for myself. I need to reawaken this within me, and for me the best way to do that is to share it. So my friend Vicky Poppy and a few others, and we got together and said, well, let's do the Course in Miracles revival, share this around the world with music and dance, and get tens of thousands of people to literally live and embody this teaching.
You know, you're saying something though that's important creatively, that we all have a DNA to do something and to keep ourselves clear and creative. And so you have to move into something else because you got to keep it fresh.
Absolutely.
You've got to keep bringing it back to yourself. And this is what you can do. You're a musician.
Yeah, and returning to the Course in Miracles revival is bringing this full circle. But like you said, it's always about music for me. Everything I've ever done, from 20 years ago here in Massachusetts, when I first did the Peace concert at the Peace Abbey, I had taken the peace prayers from the 12 major religions of the world, and in 1 hour I had this inspiration where I put them all to music in just 1 hour. And that was a critical part. Of course, that led to all the books. But now here we are returning to Massachusetts, coming full circle, and now taking every single lesson in the workbook of the Course in Miracles and putting every single lesson to music in a very exciting, even danceable way that people can wake up every morning and get excited about. I mean, to me, that's, in the first century, people were excited. There was a fire
in the belly.
There was a fire in the belly, and that's what we need today. I think.
And so many folks do have a fire, and they're all finding something very unique within themselves, where how they can wrap themselves around their truth so they can have it. And I think this is great that you're doing this. I memorized the Course. That was my way of doing it. I just took it and I thought, that's what I did. I took notes and then I sat here and spit the whole thing out.
Wow.
But it was all of us have a talent and a way of being creative, and it sounds like you've just got another one.
Well, music is unique. Art is unique. All of these expressions that come through us creatively are unique because they they have a way of going around through the back door
Yeah.
and entering into our heart fully
Yeah.
intact, as opposed to intellectual knowledge, which comes through the front door
Yeah.
and then has to go through these
Yeah.
intellectual layers and filters.
Yeah.
And then maybe something gets
Yeah.
through to the heart.
Yeah.
Music and art go straight to
Yeah.
the heart.
Yeah.
St. Augustine said, when you sing, you pray twice.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought,
I like
well, let's
that.
get people singing these
Yeah.
lessons.
Yeah.
The peace of God is shining in me now, for example, is one of my favorite ones. And to have a chant where people can wake up. The other thing is it gets stuck in your head.
That's true.
You know, a chant, when you do it 10, 20 times,
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're going through your entire day singing the peace
Yeah.
of God is shining
Yeah,
through me now.
that is so true.
And then it integrates.
Yeah. Yeah, like chanting or like Buddhism or like
Right.
whirling dervishes. People find ways to,
Repetition.
yeah, repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to hear a song. Is it too early in the program to?
No, I don't think, it's never
wanna
too
hear
early.
I want to hear a song.
Well,
James Twyman. What's the name of this one?
well, this is a special one to me because it's, in a way, it's kind of where it all began. There's a prayer that I've always loved when I was a child and still love, and that's the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. And I think that's really the lesson for all of us, to surrender to the point that that divine impulse uses us,
Yeah.
like an instrument. The thing about an instrument like my guitar is that it can't play itself.
Yeah.
You know, and we can't play ourselves. It's when we surrender that the divine plays us,
That
and
is
the
so
music
true.
comes through us. And so that's why I've always loved that line of being an instrument of peace.
Yeah.
And I remember, I mentioned when I put those peace prayers to music, about 2 days before that happened, I was at my parents' home in Minnesota, and I saw a little holy card that had that prayer on it. And I said, I'm going to put it to music. And I went into the bathroom because it has good acoustics. And within about 5 or 10 minutes, it just kind of was there already, and I was just lucky enough to catch it. And I think that this prayer was the initiation that allowed the peace prayers to happen a few days
Yeah.
later, that allowed everything that I've done, from going to many, many war-torn countries. Like when we talked 18 years ago, I had just gotten back from Bosnia
Yeah.
and Croatia during the war there, and that led to so many other things, but it keeps coming back to this one prayer and surrendering and being asked to be used. So
Yeah.
I thought this might be
Yeah.
the best,
Oh,
most
I
appropriate.
love your idea.
All right, well, this
All
is the
right.
prayer of St. Francis.
James, go for it.
Oh Lord, I am an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, I am your love. Where there is injury, pardon. And where there is doubt, bring your faith. And where there is despair, your hope. Where there is darkness, I am your light. And where there is sadness, your joy. Oh, divine Master, grant that we may not seek to be consoled, as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. We are now your instruments, beloved. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and in dying to ourselves that we live. Oh Lord, I am an instrument of your peace. Oh Lord, I am an instrument of your peace. Of your peace.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Beautiful. You get lost in it.
Well, I do.
Well, yes, that's,
And you
that's
know,
wonderful.
what I have found over the years, I love to talk, but
Is that right?
I do. However, you know, talking is so different
Well,
than
singing
singing.
is, I know.
Because what I find is I get out of the way
Yeah.
when I sing, and that's when it's best, when I'm not,
Yeah.
you know, trying to do it on my own. And literally, then you become an instrument
Yeah.
where it's flowing through you.
There is nothing like voice, nothing
Yes,
like
yeah.
singing.
That's right.
So you've been around the world, and you're returning to Oregon.
I'm returning to Oregon very soon. I'm thrilled to be here in Boston and Cape Cod, Massachusetts right now.
Yeah.
Because as I said before, it's the 20th anniversary of the first time that I did the peace concert here. And when I called my friend Vicky Poppy and said, we should do some sort of a celebration for that. And then we began talking about this Course in Miracles revival and said, let's combine the two, and we'll use the event here in Boston as a way to launch it worldwide. And we've begun sending out emails now, and people are excited about
Yeah.
this revival because we're not the only ones who are feeling this need for the fire.
Yeah.
You know, for people to light this fire, not just for our own lives, but to spread.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the kindling is dry. All it's going to take is a
Yeah.
spark, I believe.
Yeah.
And as I've been recording the lessons already and the music, and wow, like we said before, there's just something about
Yeah.
the music and the chanting.
Yeah.
And now to feel the excitement of so many people who are longing to enter into the frequency.
Yeah.
And not, you know, one of the things that Joel Goldsmith talks about, as you know, is it's not about the interpretation, it's not about talking or discussing, forget about that. It's about the embodiment.
Yeah.
And when you embody it, then the words aren't necessary.
Yeah.
St. Francis actually said, our only job is to teach peace wherever we go, and when necessary, to use words.
Isn't that appropriate?
It is,
Yeah.
because it's not about the
Yeah.
words, it's the vibration. And
Yeah.
A Course in Miracles is a vibration. It is a vibration from out of time. And that's why if you try to understand it with your mind, you're going to be lost. People could do that for 5 lifetimes and never get anywhere.
Yeah.
But you could also read one paragraph or even one sentence and have it click into place.
Yeah.
Or sing one lesson,
Yeah.
and everything then makes sense. So that's why I'm so excited
Yeah.
to share this. For me, first of all,
Yeah.
you know, we teach what we need to learn, and
Yeah.
for me, to, you know, of course, recording the lesson, the chants especially, I have to sing them 30 times
Oh,
to stack
wow.
the vocals, and Boy, it goes deep.
What is the date of the revival?
Well, the revival worldwide begins on January 1.
Oh.
And all people need to do is to go to acimrevival.com. There's some sample lessons there that you can listen to, and then you register. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything to be part of the entire year. So you get an email every day with the lesson, the music, and it has the chant, and then you actually hear the lesson read, then it ends with the chant. And that's something that's our gift to the world. So you can go there, and then on January 1, you just start getting these emails every day. But in addition to that, there are going to be people like Lisa Natoli and Bill Free and Vicky Poppy and John Mundy and myself. We're going to be traveling around the world to continue to light the fire. One of the things we're doing here in Quincy is we got a big tent to make it like a tent revival. And that's sort of our idea, is to have tent revivals all over the country, all over the world, because there's something about that energy of a tent revival. And to get out of the head, to get back into the heart. So January 1 is when it starts. And all people need to do is to go to acimrevival.com and register.
Free. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, it should be.
It should be.
It should be a total give. And because that's what we're called to do. If we're going to be instruments of peace, an instrument is always giving. And, seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else comes back to you. So that's why we thought it'd be better just to make this.
So you pack in the tent and you're going to hit the world?
We're going to hit the road with the tent,
With a tent.
A big tent. And who knows where this is going to go. We're being guided and directed every moment. And we'll just kind of see how it turns out.
How do these connections come to you, or since the word is out? Do you know where you're going? I mean, do you know where the initial place is that you're going, or
we only know the first one, and that's here in Boston.
Interesting.
My philosophy. Most people they go from inspiration, and then they try to plan it out, and then they go to manifestation. My way is to go from inspiration to manifestation instantly. To chase it down the street. Because I don't know how it's supposed to go. So I just start and then see where it leads me.
See where it goes.
And that's what we're doing with this. We don't know where we're going, but we know that people will invite us. Because if they feel this fire, and it's what we all want. I mean, this is really what is most organically true about us. Is we want to be lit on fire. And for those people who are Course in Miracles students, or have heard about it, this is a great way to begin. Also, Victor Wooten, who is a very dear friend of mine, and many musicians will certainly know him. He's considered to be literally the best bass player in the world, and he has now come on board. So he's going to be recording the lessons with me, bringing a whole new level of excitement. And I think it's just the beginning, because it's about the joining. When Vicki and I decided to do this together, there was a holy joining that took place. And then Lisa Natoli and Bill Free and many others are now joining together, and Victor and you, and the more of us that join together with our shared intention, the bigger this fire is going to get. And who knows where it will lead. It's not about me knowing, it's about the knowing itself.
And it's about your joy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, living it every day.
Well, without joy, what's the point?
What's the point? It
has to be joyful, it has to be fun. And so let's make this
And music
fun.
just makes life fun.
It does. I've actually had a great time recording many of the chants, because a whole nother side of my musical personality has come out. I mean, some of them are literally disco chants.
Really?
And some of them have these big world rhythms, and one thing I can guarantee is that people are going to want to dance to them.
You can't show us one of those, can you?
Not with my guitar, unfortunately.
No,
But the good thing is, like I said, we have a couple of samples up online. Just go to acimrevival.com, and you can just click one of the links.
And they get to hear it.
You get to hear it right now.
All right. Do you have a mob singing this, or just you, or?
Well, it's funny, because we're calling it a chorus in miracles.
Be a flash mob song?
Now, right now, the chorus is just me. It's just my voice, but we're going to be adding more and more voices as we go. Because, it's really a chorus of one, no matter how you cut it. No matter how many people are involved. But like I said before, it's about the joining and having these incredible bright lights joining together and sharing this. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm so excited about it. It's going to be, you know, whatever Holy Spirit has intended. But ours is just to show up and say yes and play our role.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on your way.
We're going somewhere.
Now, you've also written a book since the piece, what's the first one?
Emissary of Light.
Emissary.
Well, that was the first. There have been 15 books since then.
15?
Yeah, 15 books.
James.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Two of which were New York Times bestsellers, and not Emissary of Light, oddly enough, even though that's the one that many people know. But the Moses Code was one that that really, I think, touched a lot of people. And then around 10 years ago, I got I wanted to start making movies, so there was a movie called Indigo that did very well, and the one I'm most excited about that just came out all around the country in theaters everywhere was a film called Redwood Highway. Really? And it stars Tom Skerritt and Shirley Knight, and it's a beautiful movie that I co-wrote and produced. And people can see that now on Netflix and Amazon and iTunes. Yeah. And that's a fun movie because it's about realizing that no matter how old we are, we can still have a great adventure. Yeah. And Shirley Knight plays a woman who's 75, and she puts on a backpack and hikes 80 miles to the ocean to go to her granddaughter's wedding. And what an and Tom Skerritt, one of my favorite actors, is in that. And you know, you said it's got to be fun, and for me, whether it be music, writing books, or movies, I just want to have a good.
How do you write a movie?
How do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, do you have the concept like, I know it's going to be a movie? I mean, you know you're writing a book, but when you go for a movie, is...
Well, writing a script is actually much harder than
Isn't
writing
it?
a book.
Yeah.
Because if I write a book, I can go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
With a movie, every single line practically is leading in one direction.
Yeah.
And Gary Lundgren, who's the director of Redwood Highway, he and I wrote the script together. Even though this was my 4th film, I'm still really just learning how to write a screenplay, and Gary is excellent.
It sounds hard.
Well, it's hard, and it's fun, and it's
challenging.
It is very challenging, but I think Redwood Highway hit it on the button. And thank God for Gary, who's just such a great director and such a great writer. Yeah. And people like Tom Skerritt and Shirley Knight, who could bring such amazing acting talent. Yeah. But that film, was all over the country, won many awards at film festivals, and was in theaters everywhere. So if you missed it in the theater, you can go watch it online.
Yeah. Do you have favorite lessons from the course?
Well, I certainly have favorite ones to sing.
Yeah, okay.
Like lesson 188, I mentioned it already, the peace of God is shining in me now. You asked for a sample. I'll just give you an idea of what it sounds like. So if you imagine 13 different drums and 30 different voices singing, the peace of God shining in me now, the peace of God shining in me now, the peace of God shining in me now, the peace of God is shining in me now.
Great example. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear that.
Yes. Well, that's one of the samples that is online. So once again, if people just go to acimrevival.com, you can hear the whole thing. Oh my gosh. And sign up and spread the word. I think that's the other thing I want to say is if everyone lets everyone else know, then, I mean, imagine having tens of thousands of people beginning on January 1 singing these lessons and lighting this fire. Where might this go? I mean, I just know that everything's about to change.
Yeah. It sounds like powerful energy.
Well, I think so.
Around the world.
I'm excited, and if that excitement is contagious, then it's going to go a lot of places. You're
a musician, you're a writer, you have an amazing imagination. And
that's true.
that's so critical. And you have guidance, and you listen.
Yeah.
And you follow.
I say yes,
You say yes.
And that doesn't mean that every time I say yes that it works. Sometimes you say yes, and then you follow it one street down, then it's a dead end. Yeah. But sometimes you say yes, and it goes for miles and miles.
Yeah, it's worth it. Worth to try.
What else are we here for?
Yeah.
And that's why we talk about you know, all spiritual paths are meant for embodiment. Certainly A Course in Miracles. It's not about reading, it's not about studying, it's not about discussing, it's about embodying, it's about living, it's about being, you know, the essence of the Course in Miracles. And
well, it's so important, James, to feel alive and stimulated and happy and creative.
that's right.
I mean, and that's ongoing, and it never stops. And it's write another chapter, another chapter, another chapter. Just keep going. And what comes next?
Well, you know,
it'll be given to you.
When it comes to studying the Course in Miracles, I've been to many, many groups where people will read from the Course and say, well, what do you think he meant by that? Well, what he meant was what it says, you know? This was not an ancient Greek text. This is a modern gift to us. So it's time to stop interpreting. It's time to stop trying to figure it out and let it figure us out. Let it literally allow the embodiment to take place so that everywhere we go, no matter what we say, we become a living, vibrating example of what A Course in Miracles is. Which is what I am. You know, that whole expression of I am, the book I wrote, The Moses Code, in the movie, it's all about the embracing of I am. I am that, the sacred name of God. And if we can stop trying to listen to the ego, which says, I want that, and listen to our soul, which says, I am that.
You are that.
Everything else
happens. We have about a minute and a half. A Course in Miracles Revival.com. Your website, James Twyman.
JamesTwyman.com.
Okay. Any other information our guests would like to?
Oh, I don't know. I would just say, you know, there's so much that we could talk about, but mainly go and listen to one of those samples. You know, and if it lights a fire in you, if you find yourself wanting to start dancing and singing, then join us. You know, and that's, it's about the joining, as Vicki likes to say. It's about coming together and getting excited.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Great
It's
to see you again.
such a pleasure to be back here. Let's not wait 18 more years.
I will still be here, I think. Thank you, my friends, for joining us on Awaken the Dream. We'll talk to you again soon.